And then we'll talk to Russ Dorsey about the National League side of things. So let's start with the Astros and Twins. We've got a series, baby. This is the only series that 1-1. Obviously, we're going to get the second games in the National League coming up on here on Monday evening. But the Twins bite back with your boy Pablo Lopez and Carlos Correa. Because guess what, people? Spending money helps. And when you spend $200 million on a shortstop who's been there before, who's making nasty defensive plays and coming up clutch, who's also a guy who's very much been here before, not just been in this postseason, but he has done a lot of damage in that ballpark, it certainly helps. And Rocco Baldelli talked about how this is not like an accident. This is not luck. This dude is built for moments like this. We've seen this over and over from them. Lopez obviously shoved for them. So props to the Twins who now get to go home and have the advantage here where they can take 2 games and beat the Houston Astros and be in the ALCS.
And they've earned every second of it. And for every kid out there right now who complains about people being tryhards, Carlos Correa is a tryhard. And this is where it's getting him. Taking his team home 1-1 against the defending world champions. Don't forget, the Astros are a baller team. And he has come out and absolutely put this team on his shoulders after a very subpar season for his standards.
Yeah.
And it's 2 plays in the field that really stick out. Obviously, 3 hits. We're seeing 3 hits, a walk right now, 3 RBIs. Huge. That's what everybody's going to remember. What about the pickoff call that he called to get them out of the wild card round? Again, picking off Vladimir Guerrero. What about the no scope throw by Jeffers? Unbelievable throw. Ball in the dirt. He runs, picks it up. No scope. I mean, he wasn't looking. He just turns, buzzes it, and Correa's there like this. He's like, hands up. Boom, catch. Got him. Jose Abreu didn't slide. That's a try hard, and that try hard is this close to winning the American League Division Series.
Yep.
And it matters. So you need to be a tryhard if you want to do cool things.
And hey, in game 1, they actually made it pretty close because originally things were not going their way. JV didn't have his breaker early, and then he found it. Because they had times to strike in the beginning of that game, a couple different times to strike, and then JV got in his groove, and then Jordan was Jordan, who's been Jordan in the whole series. Already got 3 home runs in the series. He's ridiculous. And they made a little late push. And actually, could have been a huge story if the Twins came back, but Verlander could have given him another inning. He said, "You sure?" When the starting pitcher's going up to, who is it, the pitching coach at that point?
The pitching coach, yeah.
And they're like, "Yo, you're good, dude. Good run, 40 whatever year old you are." And they go, "You're good." And he goes, "You sure?" I would say, "No, actually, I'm not sure. I'd like you to go back
with Dusty.
Back on the mound now."
I'll check this out. And
then they give up runs right after that, after JV was in a groove. Why is there – it doesn't matter because they won the game, but, it's a big topic right now in the sport, just having a feel and letting dudes go. No? You didn't really buy into that one?
It is. This is the reaction you want your ace pitcher that you traded for, you brought back to have. You don't want them to be like, oh, okay, yeah, thanks a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I did great. You sure? I got you. What do you need? You think Pablo Lopez last night was like, where am I at? 89 pitches? Take me out.
Yeah.
He wants to go CG. Those dudes, those are the guys that they want to have it out there. So I love it. I love that he said, are you sure? It's not a controversy for the manager. We'll get into it with the whole, Ross Atkins stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, we could have had the same controversy with the Phillies. I'm on a thread with my buddies, and, we could have had that same controversy. There is definitely different situations where, to me, the reaction is warranted in the sense of Verlander's reaction. He wants to stay in that game.
Mm-hmm.
It is your job as a manager to put your team in a position to win the game. That is the difference. If your pitcher is like, hey, I totally understand. Thanks for taking me out in time. You didn't want him out there anyway.
Which some pitchers do say that, no?
Clearly now they do.
Yeah.
Clearly now they do. You
played with, you caught. So you played with some dudes probably that weren't like, let me at him, that were just like, all right, got you, Skip, thanks.
Yeah, but they're not pitching in this.
Right.
They're not pitching.
It's not those guys.
I had a conversation on one of the teams that I was with, and they were like, from your opinion as a catcher, what do guys think of this? What do guys think of this pitcher? And I was like, he's soft. They were like, that's what we thought. Kid didn't pitch in the postseason.
Didn't make the playoff roster because of it?
Didn't start. I mean, what are you going to do? Everybody's out there. You want the best. And that's the thing with these managers making these decisions. These managers aren't like, man, I wonder what would be the most controversial thing I could do. Or I wonder how I could piss Justin Verlander off. No, they're trying to make the best decision they can in the moment. Rob Thompson, he made the best decision he could in the moment. Worked out for him. Dusty Baker, it looked like it was going to go sideways. After old no blink, Jorge Polanco hit the 3-run homer. And then, of course, Royce Lewis, all he does is hit dingers. That's a 1-run ball game. If you don't have Superman, or I should say he's not Superman, he's Clark Kent. Jordan Alvarez is Clark Kent. Bryce Harper's Superman.
Yeah.
But
took the sweeper, smashed it off the pole.
Smashed it.
Gave him a little cushion, which was helpful. Plus, I will say the one thing I'm not worried about with Houston is, number one, Brian Abreu is the best postseason reliever in baseball over the last couple of years. He is insane and can give you more than 3 outs. And Ryan Presley actually has had his struggles during the regular season sometimes, especially in the second half this year, but he's fine. He looks fine. Not worried about him in the 9th.
He has zero.
They've got 2
heartbeat.
good ones there.
He has 0 heartbeat, but I was really surprised Neris. I thought Neris' stuff just plays so well in the playoffs, but he got hurt on fastballs. I couldn't believe it. Polanco whacked it, and then Royce Lewis whacked it. It was surprising to me. Nobody's gonna get on Maldonado because he's just a great game caller, all that stuff. But those were 2 calls that I was kind of surprised about.
You wanted splitters, more splitters.
Yes.
Yeah. Because sometimes he'll go in an outing and give you 3/4 plus just splitters.
But again, they had a huge lead.
Yeah.
Even after the Royce Lewis homer, they were still winning. And as a catcher, that's what it's about. I think Maldonado goes more splitters there if it's a 1-run game.
Okay, fair.
I think.
2 other components here. One, on the Houston side, Framber Valdez is the biggest problem for the Astros in my mind because he's not the same this year. And he has had his moments. He had his no-hitter. His velo's up this year, but he's leaving pitches up. They spoke about it on the broadcast. You see it in the game. And teams stack righties against him to get some oppo knocks. And you see a little more power because people are waiting for pitches up and they're getting more of them from him. Sometimes when he's on, you never get anything up that you like.
That they hit it a little bit. They did a really good job. I think AJ or Wayno were the ones that said it. But with his velo up, that sinker flattens out a little bit. And I remember there was games, yes, the 12, 13 strikeout games where that curveball is just unbelievable. But every other pitch is just going down the bomb zone, and then change up. And you're like, what? How is this guy even hittable? It's not there. That fastball location is not as consistent as it was. And I think, but they're going to lean on him. He's their number 2. They're going to lean on him. He's the guy. So it's really on him. It's not on the team to be like, well, should we not throw him? Should we?
No, I'm not saying not to throw him, but he's not the Framber Valdez from 2022.
He's going to be pissed. He might be a guy you take out in the 4th inning.
Right.
If you go to game 5 here, I think he's lined up for game. No, he would be lined up. Yeah, he'd be lined up for game 5 because Verlander would go 4, and then he'd go 5.
Might go short.
It might go really short, and I wouldn't question Dusty at all because that's a make or break game. So the situations are different, but you can't just lean on it. It's got to be, and that's got to be an in-game visual. What's that angle look like? He's not a tall pitcher, but what does that angle look like? If his angle, don't look at the velocity. If his velocity is 97, whatever it is, does not matter. If he doesn't have angle on his pitches, that sinker is nothing. And then it flattens out that changeup because they're never swinging at anything down in the zone. And the only thing he has then is a curveball. So it could be a short outing.
And then lastly, with Carlos Correa, A+ move to move him up in the order. That was great.
There's been a couple of those instances, and we'll get to it.
Yeah, some work, some don't, but that one worked, and I'm going to give it a ton of credit by Rocco Baldelli and company. And then lastly, Astros fans, help me out here. I don't understand why there's a lot of booing coming from Minute Maid Park in Houston when Carlos Correa steps up to the plate as if he is a villain, as if he is like part of the 2017 cheating scandal, but the Astros home crowd's not, acknowledging that. I don't know. I'm very confused by the situation because he's getting booed more than anyone else. And you see, like, on social, a lot of Astros fans are like, so we're booing Correa now? Like, even before he had
Astros
some of the
fans
big
were saying it
ABs.
too.
Yeah, some of the Astros fans are like, what are we doing? Why are we booing Carlos Correa? He didn't leave us. We didn't give him a legit offer. What are we doing?
That's not a fan base booing. That's trolls trolling.
Okay. Because you're not, obviously he's on the other team now. You're not getting up like, oh, bravo, thank you for the World Series championship. But like, he gave you everything. That's not normal.
There's no beef. Built this.
Right. And there's no beef between Houston and Correa. So, they're just trolling, just booing them for fun.
It's to me, and I don't know, I know some Houston fans, people that live down there. This isn't a Houston fan thing. This is just a troll, like, hey, bro, hey, boo, like, save it.
He's used to it in the other parks. Let's get him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I never even thought about that. Well, everybody boos him. So
right. That's what I'm saying. Like, at this point, like, the dude gets booed everywhere his whole freaking career since 19. That's all.
And listen to the way this guy talks. Like, you go back to the beginning of this show, like the beginning of Foul Territory, he spoke for probably over an hour, just under an hour, so eloquently about what he wants to accomplish in Minnesota. So Minnesota fans are going to love it. But you know what? If you want to boo somebody, Houston, boo whoever didn't sign him, whether it's Jim Crane, whether it's the countless GMs that they had during the time, whether, like, this dude is everything.
There are 3 GMs with an opportunity.
That's what I mean. Like, it wasn't just one dude. Boo those guys for not re-signing him, thinking he wasn't that valuable. I get it. Hey, Jeremy Pena, player. Absolutely. But there's a place for Carlos Correa on every single team. The Phillies would find a place for Carlos Correa, and they have a really good shortstop in Trey Turner.
It was at 93 pitches. I understand why Dusty Baker took him out. He had a loaded bullpen. They were up 5-0. He figured he could get 9 outs in pretty safe fashion, which Hector Neris came in, hit the first guy, gave up the 2 homers, made it 5-4, and it got real hairy there for a minute. Moving Carlos Correa, that's kind of their standard right-handed lineup, although Rocco Baldelli did say before the game he likes him better against lefties higher in the lineup, plus it's the playoffs, and he wants to beat the crap out of the Astros, as we all know. So he put him in a more RBI, a higher spot in the order. Just so happened he came up at every big situation and got a hit. He had an incredible night, and his defense last night was unbelievable also. His leadership and everything else he does on that team, everyone follows him. Pablo Lopez talked about it on the broadcast. We talked to him earlier in the year, and he gave us basically a rundown of what he does, and it's amazing. And how everyone follows him is also amazing. So he can be a tryhard all he wants. But, listen, in the playoffs, he gets it done. I'm sure you guys saw the stat, most RBIs. He's like 3rd or 4th all-time in playoff RBIs. So this dude just gets it done in the playoffs. What else did you guys hit on that I missed?
Framber?
Framber is not the same guy. Framber's throwing harder this year, okay? And he's also throwing the ball higher. He went into the offseason looking for more velocity. I don't know why, but he's giving up – since he threw the no-hitter, he's giving up way too many home runs, and he is not the same guy. And also when you talk to the Astros guys, they're taking him more to right field, and you saw a bunch of hits up the middle to right field from the right-handed hitters. He's missing spots. He gets too emotional sometimes, and, I mean, you see that a lot with him. That's why Maldonado has to play to try to keep him calm, but he's just not the same guy he was the last couple of years, and nobody in the Astros can really figure it out.
So now where are we at? We go back to Minnesota. It's 1-1.
It's cold. I know that. It's like 50 degrees.
It's cold. I will tell you this. The Astros have enough dudes that have been doing this for a while. I don't think they give a shit about going back to Minnesota. Like, ooh, we're going back to Minnesota. I actually expect their offense to play better coming up here. Like, I think they're going to win at least one, if not both, of the next 2. I think this at least – no? You think I think the chance of the Twins taking 2 in a row in Minnesota against a Houston team that's done this a lot are very slim.
I agree. And they played awful at home this year. They were under 500 this year at home. I think they were 39-42 at home, the Astros, and they were, 20-something games over 500 on the road. So they definitely have played better on the road. Their offense travels way better. They don't hit at home. The numbers are crazy how much they don't hit at home. The roof was open yesterday, which they're 0-2 this year. I guarantee if it goes back to Game 5, the roof will be closed. What I was told is the Twins asked the Astros MLB to open the roof, and the Astros didn't have a significant reason for why it was closed, so the MLB made them open it. And the Astros like playing when it's closed. But I guarantee you, Game 5, they're going to be like, oh, there's a rainstorm or a snowstorm or a blizzard or a windstorm or something to get the roof closed. But listen, here's the thing about the first two games. Okay, the first game, Verlander pitches against Ober, right? Verlander's their ace. Ober is arguably their fourth best pitcher, their number 4 starter. The Astros are supposed to win that game, okay? Game 2, Pablo Lopez has been unbelievable for the Twins. I mean, he's no Luis Arraez, Scott, but he's close, okay? Framber Valdez hasn't been very good in the second half. So Twins kind of supposed to win that game. They went out and did it. Now, Game 3, you get Sonny Gray at home, and then you get Christian Javier. Here's my question. Do you guys remember the last time the Astros were down? Everyone's saying they're done, and Christian Javier went out and pitched in the playoffs. You guys remember that game?
No hitter?
Yeah, he went out and started a combined no-hitter. So the Astros, I don't think, are worried. The question is, who's going to pitch in Game 4? Is it going to be Joe Ryan? And who's going to start for the Astros? I mean, Urquidy, I guess? Bullpen day? I don't know. Those are the two biggest questions, but I know this. I want to see a Game 5. I want to see Verlander, Pablo Lopez, Game 5 winner take all.
Yeah, that'd be sick. I want to maybe just start Abreu and just let him go forever and see if anyone ever scores off him again.
He hasn't. What was the stat? Do you see the stat? He hasn't given up a run since like July 15th or something crazy.
I haven't missed a word of you, Wayno, and
you guys were
Adam.
Awesome. Let's not build you up because you're tormenting people on planes. You can't say bomb on an airplane.
Like, what if I was a bombardier?
Bomb. But you guys were awesome. Seriously, like you and Wayno. Like I got so many comments from other people, like talking about like you, whatever. Fox is never going to listen to what I say, but you guys were awesome together, and I think you do a great job by yourself. But with Wayno, it just adds a component where you guys are really. It brings more people into listening, and I think it's awesome.
Agreed. Yeah, it was awesome.
Did you guys see Pablo Lopez's interview in the game yesterday?
Yeah.
It was incredible. I know Wayno hit on it, but it was really like it was thoughtful. It was team oriented. It was about things bigger than him. It was just really one of those interviews that you're like, okay, that's pretty damn cool that he did that. And I know people are against the interviews in the game, but to catch him right there with the raw emotion was pretty awesome.
No, that was awesome. It was. And Pablo Lopez, this is for fans that don't know who he is, and many don't, right? He's on Miami on Marlins teams that aren't in the playoffs. Finally joins the Twins this year. You know, Twins don't get a ton of attention during the regular season, and people finally – this is what the playoffs are for. This is why when we don't get, like – I hate to bring Trout and Ohtani into it. It's different. Everyone's watching. It's different in our sport, or many people are watching, and they get to learn about Pablo Lopez and go, wow, that interview was incredible the way that he spoke. And guess what? He speaks like that every time. That's how he is. We just had him in Cincinnati, and I've interviewed him probably 8-9 times because he almost always says yes for the in-game stuff when I used to call more games. So he's awesome. He's a great speaker. He also has that like tone too that just is like very welcoming. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like the way that his voice is
soft.
portrayed.
It's like a soft voice, right? It's like
yes. It's a calming presence.
It's calm, but it's still like there's still strength. Like he's confident.
It's not meek.
No,
it's not meek.
It's like I can see when you go to the mound. It's like we good, and it's like all good, and
whatever you would like to throw.
Yeah, like,
that is nice. So AJ, this is Scott didn't even know it, but he just settled the argument that we've had the entire year.
No, stop it. Luis Arraez is a great interview.
No, stop.
I don't care about interview. Who's still playing in the playoffs?
Oh,
boom!
Oh, okay. Ohtani's never in the playoffs. Does he suck? Would you trade Ohtani?
That's not the argument. The argument is Arraez or Paul. Who won the trade? Honestly, they both won the trade because, let's be serious, they both made the postseason. They both got what they needed to get. Pablo Lopez, if he continues to pitch like this, I mean, Twins might be dangerous.
Also, he went to the Twins. The Twins made it. You know this. They made a very key suggestion because he spoke to us about this. He spoke to this all year. They added a sweeper for him, and it has been incredible. And it has been another lane for hitter staff to pay attention to.
He can just cut her pretty much.
Yep. Well, but that was something new from the Twin staff. They're like, hey, we've been watching you for a while. We're excited to have you on. So that trade also unlocked another level for him, which is fine. Okay, last thing on this series. because you get to do the manager conversations. And I know they're a little different during the playoffs. They're a little more rush. There's a little more kind of like tension with the managers getting to whatever they have to do next. But anything cool that you learned, any combos? Also, I mean, you got Dusty. So sometimes like you get 15 with Dusty and 12 of the minutes are just like epic stories about something completely different. And he just gets to hang out with you and tell you something cool.
Dusty, first of all, I've had both these managers so many times this year and so many times over the years, especially Dusty over the years. And this year I did, I don't know how many Twins games, a lot, 5 or 6. So I was late to Rocco's press conference yesterday, so he was giving me shit because I was up doing an interview with Dan Gladden, the radio guy, about the Twins playoff chances. And so I walked down, and he's like, they were like, "Where the fuck were you?" And I was like, "Dude, I was doing your radio network. What the hell do y'all want? Calm down." Dustin Morris, the PR guy, they were like, "You're not allowed in now." And I'm like, "Well, okay, that's fine. I mean, Waino and those guys are just going to tell me anyways." It was just giving me shit. And then Rocco and I talked soccer the first day because Tottenham beat Liverpool, and he was going off on replay. And then Dusty. Here's the thing about Dusty. Dusty is awesome. And Dusty, okay, so I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen it in the newspapers. Martin Maldonado, Astros fans, whoever of you is out there listening, is going to catch. Okay? He's going to catch Verlander. He's going to catch Framber. And he's probably going to catch Christian Javier in Game 3. I know you guys all want Diaz to catch, but Dusty Baker believes in veteran catchers, strong defense, and he doesn't care if he ever gets a hit. He just wants him out there to get his pitchers through and keep them safe. So he has defended that in every meeting we've had all year, pretty much, and he will die on that sword.
You think Diaz is going to catch it all in this series?
Well, he caught last night. He came in and pinch hit like late.
He was an offensive replacement.
He was an offensive replacement. Do I think he will? I don't think he's going to. Well, Game 5 is no if he gets to 5 because it's Verlander.
It was sarcastic.
The only chance maybe Game 4, but. Okay, you guys will love this. So I remember we had Chaz McCormick on, and I asked Dusty. We said, because he played center in both games, and we're like, oh, he's playing in Game 1. I'm like, oh, you got Chaz out there in center. He's like, yeah, he's been great for us all year. And I go, but wait, I thought he was too fat. And he just started laughing. He looked at me and goes, well, you're fatter than he is. What does that say? I was like, what? So I was like, wait, what? And then no, Dusty's like, I'm just kidding. I'm like, I know, Dusty, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I go, trust me, people call me way worse than fat before. I'm okay with it. But no, that's just how he is. He's just awesome. Like okay, I think Waino said on the air that he's like a cartoon character. He just makes the game better when you get him on the air, you get to talk to him, people get to see it. Like that's what it used to be with the managers, and now with all the old school stuff and all that. And also, I will say this, and about just the game last night in general. People forget about it, okay? It was 3-0. What did the Twins do? Jorge Polanco hadn't done it all year. He sacrificed bunted first and second, nobody out. Moved the runners over, second and third. Then they walked, who was it? I forget, the 3-hole hitter to get to Correa. Correa got the big hit, right? Twins, Polanco's first sacrifice bunt of the year. Only the 12th I think they had all year, but it led to him kind of putting the game away. And then I was sent all these stats from somebody, and it didn't help the run expectancy, but it helped the win projection, the win expectancy, because they added on those runs. And so it's weird. It's a weird dynamic in analytics. You bunt, right? But you think you're bunting for the runs, but the run expectancy actually goes down, but the win expectancy goes up. So it's like, someone in the analytics is going to have to explain that to me.
AJ and his numbers all the time,
I'll say,
so
man.
analytical.
Well, no, think about that. How does
goes
the
away
run?
for a few days, and it's like he's dropping.
How does the run expectancy go down?
Because of less.
But the
win
expectancy goes up.
The whole run expectancy is based on a number of opportunities you have to make a baseball play that will score that run from second base. The win expectancy is based on the opportunity to put the game farther out of reach. So win expectancy is because you only base run expectancy based on bases. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
Bases, and it's divided by the number of outs left. So with 0 outs, a runner on second is more valuable than a runner on second and third with 1 out, which is crazy to me, but hey.
I don't know how your run expectancy go down, your win, but whatever. I don't know. It's analytics. Nobody really understands it except for the guy who invents the stat to make whatever they want to make look good.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, they're good at that.
Yep.
I will tell you that.
And it was good field by Rocco to tell Jorge to bunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, though, the playoffs are a different game, and that's what we have to understand, too. I think what happens is with most teams, we label them, and we are mislabeling them. I have long drives here, so I'm driving to Kratz's, and I started thinking about this. The Twins, they can't hit lefties. They strike out too much. We even picked on them at times with bets during the year. They strike out too much. It's a different lineup. It's a different lineup from what it looked like at the beginning of the year. And it's not just like, oh, they don't have Gallo, but like Royce Lewis even, playing for this team right now. Like he didn't play for a good chunk of the year on the team. You got to look at
good. By the way, he's pretty good at too.
He's pretty damn good. The lineup's different though. Like look at the Twins lineup the first couple of months and look at it the last couple of months. Half the lineup's different. Even also some guys that just don't look the same. They look like Kepler is a completely different hitter in the second half of this season. The one other thing that I noticed that I need to take into consideration when I'm picking series is to not blame overall bullpen numbers because the bullpens shrink in half. So if you're like, oh, the Diamondbacks bullpen's not that good. Well, what about their 3 or 4 best? Oh, they're pretty damn good. The Rangers bullpen has been a mess this year. Well, what about their 3 or 4 best? Yeah, they're pretty damn good. That's the majority of what you're getting. And we see this every year, and I feel like we're falling for it too much, so I'm going to stop falling for it. Like the Nationals, remember? And there's been other teams too. And sometimes actually, even if you don't have 3 or 4 dudes, if they have a starter or 2 where you can start to piggyback and do shit like that, which remember the Red Sox did the last time they won the World Series, right? Porcello had to the bullpen and Sale a little bullpen action. Things are different. So I just think
here's my thing, Scott, on that though.
Yeah.
These 2 teams that are playing right now, their bullpens are stacked.
Yes.
I mean, the Astros are stacked. Look at Presley's numbers in the postseason. He hasn't given up a run in like 19 appearances or something in the postseason. His last 19 appearances, something like that, 18, 19 appearances in the postseason. And the Astros bullpen is good. And then you look at the Twins bullpen. I mean, I know Stewart gave up the home run to Jordan yesterday, but listen, Stewart, Jax, Pagan, Thielbar, and Duran, those 5 guys, and then you throw Paddock in there, it goes 100. I mean, that is a solid 6 dudes for the Twins.
If you just took a blank slate and you watched each team, you couldn't look at their stats, you couldn't look at what they've done before in the postseason. Who has a better bullpen?
In the series I'm doing right now,
Yeah,
it's tough not to say the Twins when you just look at pure stuff.
it's
really tough.
Ever since I went to watch the Twins play the Phillies in September, I think it was Alumni Day, Alumni and Me Day, and I was like, oh my gosh, all the guys they keep pulling out of this bullpen are unbelievable. And so the rest of the season, I started watching it, and I'm like, holy cow, like they are because the Astros, I think the Astros have Neris, they have Abreu, they have Presley, and they have Graveman, which I'm surprised they didn't go to Graveman.
He's hurt. He's not on the roster. He's hurt.
Yeah. Oh, he's not on the roster.
Graveman's hurt.
That's
It popped up. He's got one of these things.
Shoulder issue. They're hoping maybe, it can heal quick enough if they make it to the CS. But
I just feel like they're shorter. I feel like they're shorter. And as we get farther into this series, managers are going to start doing what Doc said, what Dave Roberts just said. I'm going to treat this like a game 5. Like they're going to start
Dusty doesn't do that though.
Shorter. I'm saying
Dusty doesn't. That's the one thing about Dusty. That's why they can survive, because Dusty lets he should have taken Framber out. You can make the argument he should have taken Framber Valdez. He had Maton up for Correa, and he left Framber out there. And guess what? Correa got the big hit when he had a righty warming up, and then he went to him the next hitter. Right? Dusty lets his start. He trusts his starters, especially Verlander and Valdez, and he leaves them in there so he can have a little shorter bullpen.
Is that going to kill him? Is that going to come back and
Framber doesn't pitch better probably, but I mean Javier is not really a 7-inning guy. He's going to hopefully give him 5, and they're the off day today, rested up bullpen, and then it just depends on who pitches game 4.
All right, let's get to the Orioles and Rangers. We haven't touched on that series yet. It's the only one we haven't gotten to. 2-0 Texas, and just to play off what I'm talking about, Sabores, Chapman, who, can get a little wild, but usually effectively wild and still getting the job done most of the time. Leclerc, very solid. Actually, was surprised. I know you want to get some work in for your relievers, and it's been a minute, but I'm like, Cano? You want to show him Cano right now?